Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm Isabel and today we have some amazing content for you. Ryan will give us the rundown on NHL and preseason so far. We have a preview of the Jayhawks' upcoming football game this Saturday, along with Good Morning KU Sports KU Player of the Week. With less than 1 week away from NBA preseason, Lily and Katie will join us later for Keeping Up with the NBA. Eli is back with his NFL Pick'em alongside Cole, and Sam will bring us the upcoming weather. Thank you for tuning in to Good Morning KU Sports.
Welcome to Good Morning KU Sports. I'm Ryan. The start of the NHL regular season is fast approaching, with puck drop in Tampa scheduled for 4:30 p.m. Central Time on October 10th between the Nashville Predators and Tampa Bay Lightning. There's tons of fascinating storylines to cover, so let's get to it. First, coaching changes. 6 teams have found a new coach this season, but one of those teams, the Columbus Blue Jackets, had trouble with their first choice. The Blue Jackets named longtime NHL head coach Mike Babcock as their head coach July 1st. On September 12th, allegations of improper behavior arose on the Spit and Chicklets podcast, with reports saying he ordered players to show him photos on their phones as part of a character-building exercise. After an investigation, he was subsequently fired September 17th, with associate coach Pascal Vincent being promoted to head coach. Now, switching to the games being played, the league held games in Australia for the first time in league history on September 23rd and 24th, the opening of the preseason between the Los Angeles Kings and the Arizona Coyotes. 4 regular season games will be held at the Vichy Arena in Stockholm, Sweden from November 16th through the 19th, while the Winter Classic will be held at T-Mobile Park in Seattle on January 1st, with the hometown Seattle Kraken playing host to the Vegas Golden Knights, and the All-Star Game will be held at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto on February 3rd. First overall pick in the 2023 draft, Connor Bedard will make his much-anticipated debut for the Chicago Blackhawks October 10th against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Blackhawks have moved on from the Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews era to the Bedard era. Bedard is projected to start on the first line with star newcomer Taylor Hall and emerging scorer Taylor Radish. The defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights remained virtually stagnant during the offseason, with the only major move coming via trading Riley Smith to Pittsburgh in order to make room to re-sign veteran Ivan Barbashev. I, for one, love their offseason approach of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They faced elimination once during the playoffs and seemed almost untouchable during their run. Arguably, the 2 biggest moves of the offseason came via trades that sent star right winger Alex DeBrincat to the Detroit Red Wings and reigning Norris Trophy winner Erik Karlsson to the Pittsburgh Penguins. DeBrincat didn't have as strong of a 2022 campaign as he did in 2021, but he is still a threatening goal scorer whenever he has the puck on his stick and will bring some much-needed pop to Detroit. He'll fit in nicely alongside the speedy Dylan Larkin on Detroit's first line. Karlsson, meanwhile, joins his aging Penguins core with the likes of Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, and Chris Letang. Karlsson, 33, has proved he still has much left in the tank with 101 points on a horrendous San Jose Sharks team last season. The only thing he has left to prove, hoisting the Stanley Cup. Well, as summer turns into fall, a fresh sheet of ice has been laid and the Stanley Cup is the prize on every fan base's Christmas list. We can all light the lamps together and say hockey is back. Now let's go to Katie and Lily for their Keeping Up with the NBA segment.
Thanks, Ryan. This is Keeping Up with the NBA Trade Edition
with Katie
and Lily. Training camp begins Tuesday, October 3rd, and rosters for many teams are in flux. Massive moves have been happening across the NBA, with Damian Lillard and Drew Holiday being traded, and the uncertainty surrounding former Jayhawk and current Philadelphia Sixer Joel Embiid and teammate James Harden. We will be diving into these moves alongside the most notable trades and signings of the offseason today.
On Wednesday, Portland Trail Blazers franchise icon Damian Lillard was traded to the Milwaukee Bucks as part of a 3-team trade. The NBA offseason has centered around Lillard, a 7-time All-Star and one of the top point guards in the league, and his trade request to the NBA runner-ups, Miami Heat. It was assumed that Miami and Portland would ultimately come to a deal before the season started. However, Portland quickly pivoted to Milwaukee and Phoenix as trade partners within the last week. Lillard will team up with 2-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo, which immediately creates one of the best duos in the NBA. The Blazers received veteran defensive point guard Drew Holiday from the Bucks, alongside former number 1 pick DeAndre Ayton from the Suns, Chimani Kamara, and a 2029 first-round pick. The Suns received center Yusuf Nurkic and high-flying wings Nasir Little and Keon Johnson from the Blazers, alongside sharpshooter Grayson Allen from the Bucks.
The Bucks are in a championship or bust situation regarding the future status of two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. In the 2023 playoffs, the Bucks were bounced in the first round, losing 4-1 to eventual Eastern Conference champions, the Miami Heat. In the offseason, Antetokounmpo gave an ultimatum to Milwaukee, saying, "If there's a better situation for me to win the Larry O'Brien, I have to take that better situation," on an appearance with 48 minutes. The Lillard trade demonstrates the Bucks' interest in keeping Giannis in Milwaukee for the long haul, but if Milwaukee comes up short in the playoffs the next 2 years, will Giannis look elsewhere?
Thanks, Lily. I think the Dame trade keeps Giannis in Milwaukee for the next upcoming years to come, but the Philadelphia 76ers face a big predicament, with not one but two of their star players looking for trades. Enigmatic point guard James Harden has asked out of Philly after demanding a trade to the 76ers 2 years ago. Harden stated that he will not show up at training camp for the Sixers on October 3rd due to an ongoing conflict with 76ers GM Daryl Morey. Harden has publicly stated that Daryl Morey is a liar and that he will not be part of an organization that he is a part of. Harden has expressed interest in being traded to the Clippers and teaming up with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. However, the Clippers are uninterested. There is also smoke surrounding 2023 MVP Joel Embiid. Embiid and the Sixers have had several notable playoff collapses, recently losing to the Boston Celtics in the second round of the NBA playoffs. The upcoming season is critical for the 76ers' future, with teams like the Knicks very interested in Embiid if things fall apart in Philadelphia.
Now we will go through a rapid fire of smaller but still significant trades/signings that have happened in the offseason. Veteran point guard Chris Paul was traded to the Warriors for this upcoming season, and it's going to be interesting if Paul starts in a small ball lineup or comes off the bench. In the trade that included Chris Paul to the Warriors, Jordan Poole got traded to the Washington Wizards. Poole looks to recapture his 2022 playoff magic on the rebuilding Wizards.
The Boston Celtics also made a big trade, sending tenacious guard Marcus Smart to the Memphis Grizzlies. Smart will fill in for the suspended Ja Morant and looks to bring his veteran leadership and toughness to the young Grizzlies. In exchange, the Celtics received Kristaps Porzingis from the Wizards, and Washington received Grizzlies guard Tyus Jones.
The Indiana Pacers signed former Denver Nugget and 2023 NBA champion Bruce Brown to a 2-year deal. Brown was a crucial piece of the 2023 championship run for Denver, and it'll be interesting to see how the defending champs fill Brown's role off the bench and if their young players can step up to the challenge. Finally, the Phoenix Suns signed Bol Bol to a 1-year deal. It'll be interesting to see if the former 5-star prospect can find a home in Phoenix after several years of bouncing around the league.
It should be another exciting NBA season with more trades and signings to come as the trade deadline runs into February. After a short break, we'll go to Will, who will reveal Good Morning KU Sports KU Player of the Week.
Missed the bus again?
Yeah.
You should download My Bus Lawrence. You can see when buses are arriving here, and you can also see where the buses are in Lawrence.
Wow. Okay.
Download the My Bus Lawrence app today.
Welcome to KU's Player of the Week. I'm Will. Each week, one of us on the Good Morning KU Sports team selects a player from KU Athletics who achieved something special. This week's player is Reagan Birds, a defensive specialist for the KU volleyball team. This week, she was named Big 12 Rookie of the Week, her first conference accolade. During Friday's match against Texas Tech, she made a career-high 28 digs. This has her tied overall for the most in the Big 12, with 5.63 digs per set. Birds added to this impressive total with 17 additional digs on Saturday. She currently has 157 digs across all 12 matches, averaging double digits in 10. Birds also has 60 assists on the year, the second most for the Jayhawks. Congrats, Reagan Birds, you are the KU Player of the Week. Now let's go to Owen and Luke for a preview of KU's big football game this Saturday against the Texas Longhorns.
The Jayhawks are 4-0 in back-to-back seasons for the first time since the 1914 and 15 seasons after a great 38-27 win over BYU last weekend to put them at rank 24 on the AP poll. Heading into Week 5 will likely be their toughest match of the season, taking on rank 3 Texas. The Longhorns are led by quarterback Quinn Ewers and are favored by 16.5 points, setting the bar high for the Jayhawks to go play them on the road. KU stunned Texas back in 2021 with a win in overtime and are looking to stun them again in what should be a very competitive game.
Yeah, the Longhorns have looked fantastic on the offensive side of the ball with sophomore quarterback Quinn Ewers throwing for 1,033 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year so far with no interceptions. Jatavion Sanders has emerged as the favorite target for Ewers, becoming the first tight end in school history to have multiple 100-yard receiving games in a single season. The Longhorns offense has been averaging a stellar 35 points and 432.8 total yards this season. And their defense is no slouch either, only allowing 12.5 points per game. Senior linebacker Jalen Ford leads the team in tackles with 25 and is tied for the team lead in interceptions at 2. Look for him to be a big difference maker in this upcoming matchup.
Quarterback Jalen Daniels is at 705 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception while missing the first game of the season. On the defensive side, the Jayhawks have looked very strong with Kobe Bryant forcing a fumble and returning that for a touchdown, as well as Kenny Logan Jr. bringing back a pick for another touchdown last week.
Now, one player to look out for in this game is bruising Kansas running back Daniel Highshaw Jr. And while he has been struggling with injuries over the last few years, he came into the season looking very strong. Stands at 5'10", 220 pounds, and he's averaging 7.1 yards per carry on the season, as well as 3 rushing touchdowns. And with his amazing tackle breaking capability and contact balance, he will be a great weapon to use against this Texas defense.
The game kicks off at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on ABC tomorrow, so make sure to tune in to watch what should be a very action-packed game. After this game, KU and Texas will not meet again for a while unless they face each other again in the Big 12 tournament, as Texas is leaving for the SEC next year, which will make for a very competitive atmosphere after the kickoff. We'll now go to Isabel for a preview on the women's and men's basketball schedules.
Luke and Owen, the start of KU men's and women's basketball season is almost here. Before conference play, the Jayhawks will host Late Night in the Fog on October 6th here at Allen Fieldhouse. At 6:30 p.m., the Jayhawks will scrimmage and participate in fun activities during the evening. The Lady Jayhawks will also scrimmage and feature activities to showcase their team members. The guest headlining Late Night this year is Flo Rida. With more than 8 million albums sold and songs, Flo Rida will come to Lawrence to kick off the basketball season. The official conference play for the Jayhawks was just announced, where the men will take on big teams like last year's national champions, UConn, Kansas State, Iowa State, Texas, and Baylor. The first conference game will be at State Farm Arena in Champaign, Illinois, against the Fighting Illini on October 29th at 5 p.m. The women's conference play will start December 30th against West Virginia here at Allen Fieldhouse. The Lady Jayhawks will face the same big-time competitors as the men, with other games against TCU, Houston, Oklahoma, and BYU. The ladies will also travel to the Cayman Islands for the Cayman Islands Classic against Virginia Tech and UConn in November. The season is looking bright with exciting games coming up for both men and women's teams. After a short break, Eli and Cole will be back with NFL Pick'ems.
Three days later.
Where you go to college makes a statement about you. This place will become a part of you, your identity for life. The University of Kansas, a great place to be you.
Welcome back to another segment of Pickin' with Greenwald. I'm Eli Greenwald, and with me today is Cole Yancey.
This week we'll be picking 3 of the most intriguing matchups here in Week 4 of the NFL season. So before we get into our picks, as most of you know, Taylor Swift is now dating Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. And Swift was in attendance at the Bears-Chiefs game in Kansas City on Sunday. So before we get into the picks, we're just going to give a few truly remarkable stats about Taylor Swift's effect on the NFL just after 1 week. The Chiefs-Bears viewership earned 63% increase in women. And those women are the Swifties. Travis Kelce added 300,000 followers on Instagram from Sunday to now. So, Cole, what do you think of this? I mean, this is remarkable.
It's a pretty big deal for Kelce's brand. Like, Kelce's merchandise has quadrupled in sales, 400 times what it normally is, and I guess that's just another example of the Taylor Swift effect.
Right. Yeah, I think it's great not only for the NFL but for sports in general. So without further ado, let's get into this week's picks. So we are going to start with the Dolphins at the Bills. So, Cole, who are you going to pick this week?
I'm taking the Dolphins personally due to just their unbelievable offense. Their performance against the Broncos last week was unheard of.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Dolphins too. We're both going to pick the Dolphins this week. This is a noon game in Buffalo on Sunday. The Dolphins are coming off a record-breaking performance, putting up 70 points against the Denver Broncos. That Miami offense is legit. It's one of the best offenses I've ever seen, and they can definitely win that AFC East division, or at least contend for it if Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy. The Bills have ran the division for the last few years. It was pretty much inherited by them from New England when Tom Brady left for Tampa Bay. But the Dolphins are looking to take over, and right now they have all the momentum, especially going into this week. I expect this to be a very close back-and-forth matchup. But I do expect the Dolphins' offense to be too much for that Bills defense, even though the Bills Mafia will be in full force in Buffalo on Sunday. Keep an eye out for that Stephon Diggs, Jalen Ramsey matchup. Ramsey, one of the best corners in the NFL for the Dolphins. Diggs, one of the best receivers in the league for the Bills. Keep an eye out for that. Next game we're going to cover, we got Ravens at Browns. Cole, who do you like for this one?
I'm taking the Ravens personally. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because both defenses are doing pretty well this year, but I'm going to be taking the Ravens for their offensive playmakers, Zay Flowers, and Lamar's ability to scramble outside the pocket. I think it'll be a little too much.
So Cole likes the Ravens in this one. I personally like the Browns in Cleveland. The Ravens are coming off a huge upset loss against the Colts in Indianapolis. The Colts were missing their starting quarterback, Anthony Richardson, and they had to start Gardner Minshew and still beat Baltimore. So I really like Cleveland in this one. I expect the dog pound to be barking on Sunday. The Browns are coming off a dominating win against the Titans, and Deshaun Watson has looked very good through the first 3 weeks. Nick Chubb is out for the year, but the Browns re-signed Kareem Hunt. Expect him to be very good out of the backfield as a receiving back like he was previously with Cleveland. And the rookie, Jerome Ford, has looked very good for the Browns. So I think the Browns' offense will surge, and I like the Browns in this one. Next, we got Chiefs-Jets, Sunday Night Football. For this game, who do you like, Cole?
I'm pretty sure we're both taking the Chiefs here, to be honest.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs too. The only reason we're covering this game is, again, Taylor Swift. It is the biggest story in sports right now, one of the biggest stories in the world and news in general. Taylor Swift lives in New York. It's confirmed that she's going to this game. The Swifties will be in full force in East Rutherford on Sunday night. Cole, what do you think the over-under is on how many times NBC is going to show her on national television?
I'm taking the over. I think she'll have more screen time than Andy Reid at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. I agree with that too. But with the game itself, you got to feel bad for Jets fans. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays. Their hopes were very high going into this season. Rodgers, 4 plays, gets injured, and they're back stuck with Zach Wilson for the remainder of the year. And he has just looked abysmal in the first 3 games of the season. I mean, Cole, what do you think about his performance so far?
It's just bad quarterback play, to be honest. It's pretty evident. Even the players know it, that he's just not that great of a quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's all we have it for Picking with Greenwald here in NFL Week 4. Cole, thanks for joining me. And let's go to Sam for the weather.
Yes, thank you. Right now, looking to the west from Mount Oriad, you can see the beautiful clear skies that have greeted us this morning. As right now, it is a nice 80 degrees with winds out of the south at 10 miles an hour right now. And for the hourly planner today, it'll be approaching 90 degrees by the lunch hour and before topping out at a high around 95 this afternoon. And it'll settle into a nice evening with temperatures in the 80s. The winds will remain fairly strong throughout the day, as right now they're at about 10 miles an hour. They'll pick up to about 14 this afternoon, gusting up into the low 20s. For this weekend, a lot more of the same. I expect both Saturday and Sunday to be in the low to mid 90s. And if you're looking to escape the heat, I recommend going to the volleyball team as they will be hosting Houston for a pair of games this weekend. First, on Friday tonight at 6:30, they'll be hosting Houston, and tomorrow at 3 p.m. also at the Horsch Family Volleyball Arena. Softball also in action tomorrow as they'll be hosting an exhibition game against Central Missouri right during the heat of the day with their 1 p.m. start time. Women's soccer as well on Sunday at 1 p.m. Again, right during the heat, about 90 degrees when that game begins. And then Thursday, softball hosting another exhibition game, this time against Missouri Western. That one will be in the low 70s. By Thursday, I expect temperatures to feel a lot more fall-like. Now moving on to away sports, the big one for the weekend, we have the football team taking on Texas down in Austin. The temperatures there will be very similar to how it'll be here. I expect it to approach 90 again by about the 12 p.m. tailgate before topping up at a high around 96 around halftime. Other away sports, right now the cross-country team is split between the Gans Creek Classic in Columbia and the Notre Dame Invitational in South Bend, with the Notre Dame Invitational having, I'd say, much nicer weather with 65 for their running weather. And men's golf will also be in action Sunday and Monday, also in South Bend. I expect highs in the low 80s for them. And this coming Thursday, both volleyball and women's soccer will be playing in the state of Texas. Volleyball will be playing at UT, while women's soccer will be at TCU. Temperatures for those are 80 and 76 respectively. Now on to the 7-day forecast. Again, the summer-like temperatures continuing through Monday before a possible system moves through Tuesday night into Wednesday, which could leave us with some more precipitation as well as more fall-like temperatures to end the week. Back to you, Isabel.
Wow, Sam, it looks like a hot one this week. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Good Morning KU Sports. Tune into Playmakers at noon and see you again next week, Friday morning. Rock Chalk!